How do I know this is the real thing? Do I trust my instincts or do I stand my ground? How do I see? Good afternoon and welcome to the final session of the best ever Unity Eastern Region Fall Conference online version. And this is the session with UWM, Unity World Headquarters, and UUMS. I'm Chris Kraus, and it is my pleasure to be the one to do the final pray-in today. I am a UUMS student, second year, and love to pray. So let's take a couple of deep centering breaths. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable. As we breathe in the presence. Just feel it sinking everywhere into your body, surrounding you. As you exhale, just breathe out whatever is holding you back from being fully present right here, right now, in this right here now moment. Just let it go and breathe it out. You can pick it up later if it's important. And as we center with our breath, we open fully within us to all of the powers and faculties that are within us so that we can shine as our best divine nature self in this final session of this conference. And we open and are receptive to hearing all of the good news, learning and growing and evolving together as we complete this sacred circle. And we know that is all in divine order. All is well with our souls, regardless of outer circumstances. And yet we're going to take just a moment now in the silence, in your own way, to hold in prayer those in harm's way, whether it's Hurricane Milton, other natural disasters, wars, or other human-created disasters. Just a moment to pray for all 8 billion plus of us on this wonderful jewel of a planet. And we know that affirmation of wholeness, of oneness, of healing and health spreads throughout the land, mitigating all of the harms. And we are grateful for each other, for the speakers that are here today, who will be teaching us all sorts of new things, for each other and for the best ever Unity Conference, and for the source of our being, present here within us and all around us. And so it is, and so we do give thanks. Amen.
Thanks so much, Chris. And welcome everyone to our afternoon session here today, where we will receive updates from different parts of the Unity family beyond the Eastern region. So up first here today, we have friends from Unity World Headquarters. We have with us today Guy Swanson, who is the Chief Operating Officer for UWH, and Ellen Debenport, who is the Vice President for Publishing. So they have wonderful news from UWH, and I'll hand it over to them now.
I suppose we do have generally wonderful news. We also have a video from Jim Blake, our CEO, who is in California. I think it's the West Central region that was meeting this week. But we thought we would show the video first, and then you can ask us any questions you want. Basically, you can ask Guy anything about the village itself or the business of Unity, and you can ask me about publishing, I guess. So Matt, whenever you're ready, let's watch the video.
Greetings, friends. I'm Jim Blake, the CEO at Unity World Headquarters. It's always my pleasure to update you on what's been happening at UWH over the last year, and it's a good sign when I have almost too much to pack into one video. The latest and possibly greatest news is that as of September, we are returning to 24-hour coverage on the silent Unity telephone prayer lines. During the pandemic, we had to cut back the overnight shift due to limited staff and remote capabilities at the time. People could still call and hear a recorded prayer message, and they could still submit prayer requests online that were answered. Our round-the-clock prayer vigil also continued. Although it's an expensive endeavor to staff the phones between midnight and 6 a.m., it's the wee hours when people seem to need the connection of real-time prayer support the most. So the phones at Silent Unity will be answered all night long going forward. As a reminder, you are always welcome to join Silent Unity in prayer through the online prayer vigil. In addition to the prayer vigil chapel on campus, this virtual site is where our remote prayer associates take turns praying continuously throughout the day and night for all the prayer requests that have been received. This year was the 100th anniversary of Daily Word, and we have celebrated all year long. We focused the 2024 calendar on the history of Daily Word. We honored Daily Word at Fillmore Festival in August, and we published a commemorative book with more than 200 messages from the past century. It will be a powerful addition to your library long after the anniversary year. But the big publishing news this year had to do with Unity Magazine. We acquired Spirituality and Health and blended the two magazines into a new version called Spirituality and Health, a Unity publication. It still has articles about spirituality with more emphasis on health and science. The magazine came with a website, email newsletters, and a robust advertising program that we are continuing. Sign up for the SNH newsletter and also take a look at the SNH website when you get a chance. It has fascinating articles and we'll be adding more, especially on interfaith topics. While we're talking about publishing, we have 2 new books coming out this fall. These were the winners of the Unity Books Contest last year. Headphones and Heartbreaks is written by 2 millennial women who used music and spiritual practice to recover from bad breakups. There's a playlist with all the songs that got them through. Then, Reverend David McClure in Spokane has written a book about how he and his wife Donna used Myrtle Fillmore's healing principles in their cancer journeys. You often tell us how much you enjoy using booklets in your ministries. We published another 6 new booklets this year. There's one more coming in November about the spiritual wisdom we learn from our pets. We also created a booklet for Black History Month this year called From Black Church to New Thought. Ministers tell us how they're combining their Black church traditions with New Thought teachings, and it has a playlist of the gospel music they love. Our product developer continues to come up with great ideas to put traditional Unity teachings in new packages. Have you tried the affirmation generator? You flip the pages to pick something to release and an affirmation to replace it, and nearly all of them work together. Also, James Dillett Freeman's Blessing for a Marriage is now a wall hanging. And this one I am super excited about. We have our own Unity Lift the Flap Advent Calendar for the coming holiday season. Well, that's it for prayer and publishing. The third pillar of our mission at UWH is Unity Village, and it's been busier than ever. We welcomed Unity and New Thought audiences to the Village this year with over 25 mission-based events and retreats. They included the UWM Convention, the People of African Descent New Thought Group, the Fillmore Festival, and several Come Home to Unity retreats. Those were just the ones Unity sponsored. In addition, this year, we'll be managing nearly 300 events ranging from retreats, to weddings, to memorial services, to corporate trainings, and even social events, like birthdays and baby showers. People are coming to the Village for everything. Soon, we will also be able to offer space in the R.D. Goppert Event Center. We have refurbished the 50-year-old Activity Center to provide a large venue, not only for Unity events, but for the community. We're putting a small outdoor lift just outside the event center to carry those differently abled up to the courtyard and fountains. We celebrated the first anniversary of the beautiful new Labyrinth with a 70-person Labyrinth retreat on World Labyrinth Day. We also built and installed a beautiful rainbow bridge near the trailhead where people can come to honor their pets. And we are starting to refurbish one of the historic cottages to be named in honor of the Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman. It's right next to the other Airbnbs we've already opened. Another way Unity continues to grow is in the digital realm. We have a new system called Virtuous. It allows us to easily contact donors, subscribers, and anyone in our database to keep them feeling connected to Unity. For example, a new subscriber to Spirituality and Health might get a series of emails introducing them to other facets of Unity, like the booklets or Daily Word or even Silent Unity. We've been doing this already, but the new system makes it a breeze to set this up or other automated series of emails. That way, no matter which doorway someone comes through Unity, we can help them understand more about who we are, what we offer, and it's customized to their interests. We are also making a major investment in digitizing our archives. A company called History IT is going piece by piece through thousands of letters, talks, videos, and tapes to preserve them for the future, no matter how technology changes. The first parts of this digital museum went live this year with the Myrtle Fillmore Collection and part of the Eric Butterworth Collection. The Charles Fillmore Collection will be coming later this fall. This will make the full Unity archives available online to the public and to scholars and students from all over the world. We will continue to have our physical archives too, and this is something we've talked about for years. Unity Village is now becoming a hub for all the New Thought archives. The Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation leased space on campus and moved here from Colorado over the summer. We are also now in talks with INTA to move their Addington Archives collection here as well. There's always something fun happening at UWH. It's been an exciting year with some major projects coming to fruition and others just getting underway. We couldn't do it without your support and prayers, and I hope that what we are doing at headquarters in turn supports you and your work in your ministries. As always, thank you for all you do to make a difference in the world with these powerful teachings. May peace and blessings be upon you, your ministries, and your communities. Namaste.
Okay, the most pressing question so far is whether the Advent calendar has chocolate in it. I wish. It's just paper this time. Next time, we're going to do something more elaborate so we can somehow make it three-dimensional and put things in it. But this is a start. You can tell from the video how much Jim loves Christmas. I can update you on a few things since that video was made. Both of the new books are out and available, and the healing book, especially the Healing Tapestry, I think is teachable for you if you want to look at it for that. The Charles Fillmore Collection and the digital archives should be live any day. And the Goppert Event Center is nearly done. And Guy could tell you any detail you want to know about that building. So, and yes, Justin Virtuous it's a CRM. Questions, comments, thoughts, musings, reflections?
If you have a question, please raise your virtual Zoom hand so we can see you. We have two screens of people.
This is a course. I have a question. The elevator from down to the courtyard, when is that slated to go in?
We're currently fundraising for that elevator. It's fundraised about a $650,000 addition to campus, and so we are actively fundraising for that at the moment. So we have all the plans and it's ready to go. We're just looking for donations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Justin Epstein had a question on the chat. It said the name of the software that Jim mentioned. Is it Virtuous?
It is Virtuous.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Haywood, go ahead.
I just wanted to say how much our congregation loves the pamphlets. They can't get enough. So please keep those pamphlets coming, those booklets.
Mhm.
Yes, thank you.
Good, that's good to hear. Thanks.
Yeah, I will add to that, Ellen. This is April. My local ministry used them extensively during the pandemic to keep people connected with each other. We did mailings of them to our congregation, and then we also had discussion groups based on the content of the booklets. So
Okay.
they've been a blessing.
It's good to hear. Mark Fuss really gets credit for the booklets, but I'm the editor.
Anne.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, as far as the booklets, I took the treasure, Eric Butterworth, what was it? Can't think of the name of it now. But I took it, and at 6 months, I get a list of everyone, not the amount, but everyone who donates to the church for the first 6 months. And I send them a booklet and a handwritten note thanking them for the contributions for the first 6 months of the year. And I look forward to seeing where this church is going for the last 6 months. So I thank you for your booklets. I can't tell you how many people, and of course I always put a envelope in to donate again. And I can't even tell you how much has come back, and people are thanking me for the booklet. And so I do appreciate your booklets. I do have a question because it's in the chat. It says website, says hope, peace, love, and joy for the Advent. Did we go to faith, or are we doing hope?
Okay, I'll tell you. We used to do hope, and then sometimes we would do faith, and no matter which one we picked for the first Sunday of Advent, half the ministers were upset and would explain to us why it was wrong. So we, the last few years, have just started doing hope/faith.
Okay.
And you can talk about both or either, up to you.
Well, I do talk about both, so I'm okay with that. I was just wondering what the answer was.
Yeah.
Saba.
Yes, hi, Ellen.
Oh.
So not to be redundant about the booklets, but I think they're excellent. And for the last few years, I've been using several of them a year for my lesson topic series. And I use at least 4 of them, Advent and Lent, and then maybe 2 or 3 others throughout the year for lesson series on Sundays. So we love them. Thank you.
So I was also a regular contributor to the booklets, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cheryl,
Yes, I concur about the booklets. And I have a question. I know that last year there was the contest for the new books that have just come out. Is that something that will happen again? Or if not, then can you just tell us a little bit about, for those who are perhaps interested in sharing and writing a book, what the process might be to be considered for publishing?
Okay. The easiest way is to go to the unity.org website and search for author guidelines, and it'll lay out what we're looking for and who to contact. But you can also just email me and we'll talk about it. If you have an idea or if you've been working on something, our model is not to give a book advance and then wait for the author to write the book. Our model is to wait until the author has written the book and then look at the manuscript and then decide whether Unity wants to publish it. Because so many people say they're writing a book and then they never quite do. So I wait until they're actually finished before we get serious about it.
Thank you.
This video, you may also get this video today by email. It went out in postcards from the village, which is the best way to keep up with everything going on at Unity World Headquarters. And it is tailored for center and church leaders.
and Matt also put the link to the World Headquarters video in the chat.
And feel free to show that in church or anywhere else you want to.
All right. Does anyone else have any more questions? Oh, I see a hand just came up. Luke?
Hi, guys. Ellen and Guy. It's good to see you, Guy.
Hello.
Haven't seen you in Kansas City a couple of months ago now. In addition to the event center and the Johnny Coleman Airbnb, what other projects are down the line that you could show us or tell us about? One of the things that I heard, I think from Jim or from yourself, was the possibility of a pool that was going to go in between the Airbnbs and the hotel. I know that requires money, and the elevator is certainly more important. But can you offer anything else?
Sure, absolutely. So we are currently engaged our architects and a group of consultants to help us do kind of a strategic campus planning process to figure out, what we want to do and what we want to do next on campus, so we don't have these kind of disparate projects going here or there, and kind of have a cohesive vision going forward for the next 15 to 20 years. We're starting with, if you've not been to campus lately, we are right next door to the City of Lee Summit. And the City of Lee Summit embarked on a project to widen Colburn Road through the entirety of our campus for about 1.5 miles on the south edge of our campus, from a 2-lane asphalt highway that was in severe disintegration into a 5-lane thoroughfare through our campus. And as part of that, they realigned Blue Parkway through our front yard. So for the first time ever in our history of our township, we're also a city in the state of Missouri, the township of Unity Village, we have our first public road. So the first project our campus visioning team is looking at is the campus entrances, because the way you enter campus now is completely different than you did before. The entryway comes in from the south off Colburn Road to where our facilities and the casting building are, and that, as opposed to going to our front entrance where the fountains are. So that'll be the first project, is to re-envision the entryways to keep both entryways beautiful. The front entrance to the west is gorgeous because it's coming through the fountains, but the one to the south, which is kind of becoming the de facto entrance now, needs a significant amount of beautification, including some more security measures as well. As we become more public facing, We have more issues with people on campus that we don't necessarily want to be on campus at 2 or 3 a.m. So we're looking at potentially some gating options or some security options that we can kind of control access a little bit, particularly at night, to protect our residents and guests. So that will be the first look. We do have a plan for a pool. Pools are wonderful and great, but they're really expensive. So that is in one of the planning options that we have. But beyond that, we're looking at ways to generate more revenue on campus. Things like we're looking at potentially including more of there are options for like an RV park or additional tiny home accommodations or things that we can add to the accommodations to the hotel or that type of activity. The hotel is sold out, probably 30 weekends a year. And so, if we had 50 more rooms, boy, we could really expand retreat options. So those are looking for more accommodations and revenue generating options for the existing campus infrastructure that will support the ministries is where we're going. So stay tuned that we've just kind of started on that process. The board's going to walk through kind of the most recent update in November, and then hopefully by spring we'll have more concrete information to share.
If you have other questions about the village, Guy has to leave in just a few minutes. So now's your chance.
So I'm going to call on myself. This is April. Guy, when the Gopert Center was, I think, first getting off the ground with fundraising, one of the projects that the Eastern region really committed to supporting was the elevator, because in many respects it was a strong desire of Reverend Joy Weiler, who was in our region for a long time. And I'm just wondering if we could get some, I think there might be some renewed interest, knowing that you guys need some additional funding. If someone could send us maybe a link to some direct fundraising for that.
Yes, that'd be great. Absolutely. We'll definitely share that information. The new event center does have an elevator inside the building. So that's the first time that building's had any kind of an elevator. And the event center we're this close to being done. We would already be finished except the LED lights for some reason are on back order. For whatever reason, the pandemic caused lighting to still be an issue. So our lights are somewhere between Albuquerque and Kansas City. And if we had our lights that go in the very ceiling 40 feet up, then we could finish everything else. So, but we're very, very close.
Thanks. I'll watch for that.
Sounds good.
Anybody else?
Okay, any other questions? Anything else for these folks? Justin.
I was just curious, there used to be a farmhouse up Colburn Road, I think, with a garden out there. Does Unity still own that land? I rode by it at the last conference just to see, and I didn't see a farmhouse. I figured it was gone or something. I was just curious if that's
there
still
used to be a farmhouse on the south side of Colburn and east of Main Street. That was vacated before I got to Unity over a decade ago. I'm not really sure why, but yeah, I don't know if it was just I'm not sure, but it was no longer is in existence. The Apple Barn and the community gardens is still in existence, and so that's a partnership that we have with the gardens at Unity Village, which is a separate 501c3, where we've donated basically 10 acres of land to them for their use to grow all manner of vegetables and fruits. And then they have a farmer's market at the Apple Barn every Saturday from April through September. So it's been a great partnership with that organization.
nice. And that garden is near where the farmhouse used to be. Is that right?
Yes, it's the old Apple Barn. It's our
The
old
old
Apple Barn that we built to store all the apples, and we had the orchards.
Gotcha. I used to live in the farmhouse. That's why I asked.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I was
I've never been
reminiscing
inside
to
of it.
go see if it still existed.
Nope.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, as I understand, Guy, you have another meeting that probably is commencing right now.
I do. I apologize. It's just a
No
lot of fun
worries.
activity going on. But Ellen, you're in good hands with Ellen.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
And make sure everybody subscribes to Spirituality and Health, our new magazine.
All right.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks
So
all.
any
Appreciate
other-
it. Thanks all you do.
Bye.
Any other questions for regarding publishing with Ellen Davenport? Anyone? Last call. There's what Kosoa.
Yeah, I actually thought about this, a coloring book kind of thing, on like the 12 powers and the 5 basic principles and things like that for youth and family ministry. That would be lovely.
Okay. Noted.
Thanks.
Justin.
Yes, I was just wondering if you could tell us the benefits of publishing a book with Unity. How would it benefit? I mean, it's a very crass question, I guess, but people ask themselves that question.
Yeah.
What is the benefit of publishing a book with Unity? I wrote a book in 2011. I self-published it called Super You. And, I'm a little familiar with publishing houses. So what is the benefit of publishing it with Unity? How versus self-publishing it and marketing it yourself?
There are trade-offs either way. The advantage to publishing with Unity or any traditional publisher is that they can market it for you. We can tell everybody in Unity about it. We can put it in our newsletters and talk about it at these conferences and get the word out. Without that, for people who have self-published, there is no mechanism to reach all of the churches or ministers and let them know something exists. And in my dreams, someday there will be a website where people can go and see all of the books and the artwork and the videos and the music that people in New Thought are creating, because they all get in touch with me and say, I want to distribute this throughout the Unity churches. And we only do that for the things we are publishing or the products we are creating. So also with Unity, you get our design team and our editing, and with self-publishing, you get a lot more speed and total control. You can choose the cover you want, that kind of thing. So pros and cons.
All right, thank you.
Edith.
So, hey, Ellen. So I have a few possibilities for booklets. The first one is something on the golden rule, where it would be not just Unity's take on it, but coming from the conception of other spiritual communities as well. The second one would be something on the 12 powers, but based from the 12 powers of man from Charles Fillmore, so that it puts love in April. And then the third one would be something that has to do with what is it to be spiritual or / God, right? So that we get a booklet that gives different perspectives on what is it to be spiritual, or if you could bring God in it too, I don't know. But I think we have so many different ways that we think in Unity as far as what is God or what is spirituality. I think it would be great to have a book, either 2 separate books or 1 book with both. That's what I have.
Taking notes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kaywood.
So I'm curious if after her previous books and her article about finding faith to stand firm, if Ellen is developing any new books.
I don't recognize Finding Faith to Stand Firm.
Maybe that was the article that the title that was put on an article you wrote in a recent Unity booklet.
That could be.
Yeah.
Okay. The answer is I have assigned myself to write for the booklets more often. So I did that last year. I'm doing that this year. Don't have any books in the works.
Hmm. We'll look forward to when you do.
Thank you.
Well, isn't this fun, Ellen? You're not fielding quite so many questions, but all kinds of good ideas and encouragement for your own writing, right?
Yeah. That's good.
All right. Anything else for Ellen Davenport? Going once, going twice. All right. Thanks so much for being here, Ellen. We really appreciate you and Guy. Thanks so much for the update. And we just look forward to hearing more and more good things about what's going on at Unity World headquarters.
Thank you. It's great to see you all.
All righty. April, did I see your hand sticking up for something, or are you just waving by?
I was just waving at Ellen
Okay. All
with
right.
with gratitude.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Ellen. All right. So next on our schedule, I did see Edith was here with a question. So I guess she is at her desk and settled now, because next on our schedule here this afternoon is an update from Unity Worldwide Ministries. And what I'm told is that Edith is speaking for UWM this afternoon in her role as, let me see if I have it correctly, Edith. You can correct me if I don't. Are you currently the second chair of the UWM board?
That's close.
That's
I'm the
close.
first,
Okay.
it's close. I'm the first vice chair, which
Okay.
means that I'm right next to the chair. And then we have a second vice chair. That's Sue. Sue Riley is the second vice chair.
All right. Well, take it away, Edith.
Hey, everybody. I'm Edith. You guys know me. I think everybody knows me. I'm Edith Washington Woods, and I'm the Senior Minister of Unity of Gaithersburg. So I'm right here, part of the Eastern Region family. And as I was saying, I'm the first vice chair of UWM, and I've been on this board 3 years. So started my 4th year in June. I do have a video as well that was put together by our current chair, Valerie Mansfield, and the COO, who is Roxanne Graves. So I want to have, please bring that video up for us, Matt. That'd be super awesome.
Okay, where is it? I didn't know. All I'd seen was the one for Sandra Campbell, so.
Edith, this is April. I don't show a record of having received your video.
Yeah.
I wrote you last night and asked.
Ew.
If you can send me the link, I can pop something up right now, but
Okay, give me a sec.
okay, all right. Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to have to send this from my UWM website to myself and then send it to you like that, okay?
All right, I'm gonna put my email in the chat for you. So
If you put it in the chat, then I can send it to you directly.
Yep, do it right now.
Yeah, I sent it Sunday to both of you. So
Right.
that's
There
fine.
it is. It's popping in the chat there. So if you just want to send it that way, and I can get it going for you.
All right, just a second, everyone. Okay, here it comes.
I'll let you know when it comes in. Yet, still waiting.
Send, 0
Okay.
minutes.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I got the link
Okay.
now.
So while you're doing that, I'll just start talking.
Okay.
So I do have a few things that I can start on while he's loading that video up. Just wanna tell you a few things that's going on. Number one, talking about the identity question. We know that we've been having conversations about our identity and we're continuing to expand that discussion that we started at the convention and then that was at the last fireside chat. We do recognize that this is a topic that's been around for a long time. Like, who are we as Unity? Are we this? Are we that? The wording of it seems undecided across the board, right? From, I don't mean the board like the board, but I mean from people in Unity as a whole. We've had teams in the past and specific wording that we've had on branding and all of that. So we're still in the conversation of that. There's not been anything decided, and it won't be decided until the field decides. So we're still talking about that. The second thing I'll mention, oh, my computer is just acting stupid. So the second thing I'll mention, I'm not gonna go to that. I don't know what's going on. The second thing I'll mention is about unity and unity. And what I mean by that is the board chairs from UWH and UWM meet regularly, at least once a month, sometimes more than that. And they have added the 2 vice chairs. So me as first vice chair and Juan as is chair, first vice chair and Juan is vice chair. So they don't have 2 vice chairs, they just have 1. So the 4 of us get together and talk periodically as well about where are we going? What are we doing? So that's continuing to go well. And we've got really good conversations going on and possibilities that might get created later. As far as the CEO, yeah, we don't have one right now and not gonna have one before the first of the year. It's not gonna happen. We are looking at what does it mean to have a CEO, but more importantly, the next step that we're taking, everybody, is to have an interim CEO. So that interim, part of what they will be doing is focusing on healing at whatever level that we need to heal at, because, well, I don't know about you, but it's pretty obvious to me that we have some healing to do in our movement. And so they'll assist with that with our spiritual communities, as well as the board and the staff if need be. And so that piece. The next piece I want to mention is about membership policy. We did do some new updates based on the feedback we got after we updated it, earlier. I think at the convention we had that update. But we did some more update that involved retired ministers, national and international folks, and what qualifies as the activities for that. And so I think that was really expanded, and I believe you guys all got that in a special communication. I want you to know our virtual business meeting is going to be happening on November 6th from 1 to 5 p.m. Central Time. You should have gotten at least 2 different emails from Diana Kennedy. If you haven't, please let us know that you need to have that information, because November will be here in a month. Are you ready for that? I can stop now.
I'm ready. Yep. All right.
Okay, I'll finish the rest of my little report when we get them watching this wonderful video.
I'm Reverend Valerie Mansfield, the Chair of Unity Worldwide Ministries, and it is my pleasure to be here virtually with you today. The board wants to thank you for your continued support through your direct communications on the web forum and your financial support. We know these are given through your love of Unity Worldwide Ministries and to further expand the services to the field. The board continues to support the staff leadership team in this time of transition to ensure we move forward into 2025 with a responsible and effective plan. We plan to continue to build on the discussions of our identity from the convention and our latest fireside chat. Together, we will find the right and perfect solution and way forward. In our most recent board meeting, the audit firm, UHY, presented an unqualified or clean audit of our finances for 2023. The final report will be presented to you during our business meeting in November. This is wonderful news and happens through the love and dedication of our staff at Unity Worldwide Ministries. Representatives from Unity Worldwide Ministries and Unity World Headquarters continue to work together to support you, your churches, and your communities. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to us. We love to hear from you, and we need to know the best way to serve you in the future. Unity Worldwide Ministries is your organization, and we are here to serve you. Blessings of love and light as you enjoy your regional event.
Hello, friends. I'm Reverend Roxanne Graves, and I am honored to serve as the Chief Operating Officer of Unity Worldwide Ministries and to be able to work alongside you in growing Unity ministries and leaders. Today, I'm going to provide some updates as well as look into some of the services, events, and opportunities provided by UWM and that are available to all Unity leaders, ministries, and laypersons across the movement. I'd like to begin with an update on the membership policy that was voted on and passed into policy by the Board of Trustees August 2023. After receiving feedback from those of you in the field, the board revisited and updated 3 areas of the membership definitions. The first being retired ministers' membership. The updated policy now reads, once retired, a minister or licensed Unity teacher will no longer be required to fulfill the active requirements of the UWM membership. Retired ministers and LUTs retain their voting rights as UWM members. The second update is to ensure that international Unity schools, ministries, and associations are represented in the policy. The updated section defining qualifying activities for maintaining an active leader status now reads, completing at least 2 of the following each year, along with notating which of the following Unity organizations each was performed at or with: a Unity ministry, UWM Central Office, UWH, UUMS, UWSI, any recognized Unity region, either domestic or international, or a recognized international Unity association or school. And then the third and last update is a continuation of that same section. The list of those qualifying activities has been expanded from the original 8 to 14. The additions that were recommended by the field and are now in the policy are served as a minister of record, or on a ministry team, on a leadership team, served in a recognized focus group or similar, worked as a staff member, served as an institutional, being hospital, hospice, prison, or etc., chaplain. But to see a full version of the updated policy that includes this expanded list, please visit our website at unityuwm.org/membership-model. Our virtual meeting this year was separated from our convention. At the business meeting held during the 2023 convention, a vote was cast to separate the business meeting from future conventions going forward, and that the business meetings will always be hybrid or online formats only. So the 2024 business meeting will be held online only. There'll be no in-person gathering. And the meeting is on November 6th from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Central Time. There will be issues to vote on during this business meeting, and this is very important. There are currently 2 voting member types, either credentialed leader or a ministry. Both of these voting member types have minimal requirements that must be met each year to be eligible to vote. There's also a deadline of turning in all of your paperwork and doing what you need to do of October 17th to complete those requirements. If you intend to vote or send someone from your ministry to represent and vote, please be sure to visit unityuwm.org/annual-business-meeting to ensure that everything is in order. We really want as many voting members participating as possible, so you will probably hear and see this announcement made regularly between now and the meeting on November 6th. About once each quarter, the leadership team, staff, and board offer a time of casual yet really important communication. We lovingly call these our fireside chats. The general format is to open with a topic we want to update you on or we believe will be of interest to most of you. Then we open it up for Q&A and the sharing of ideas between everyone that's on the Zoom call. And because we generally have all areas of UWM represented, we have the right people on the Zoom call ready to answer your questions. The next fireside chat is scheduled for December 12th, 2024. It starts at 1 p.m., ends at 4 p.m. Central Time, and we welcome everyone's participation. You also have the opportunity to watch past fireside chats at unityuwm.org/connection-space. Our development area has been doing monthly calls called Let's Grow Together. We're thrilled to support our ministries in up-leveling their approach to fundraising and growth through the monthly online program. Reverend Diana Kennedy and her co-host, Reverend J.D. Bloom, bring in special guests like fundraising expert Dennis Green, plus leaders in our ministry who are getting great results. Each month, fundraising best practices are shared live in the program, and then afterward, resources are sent out to the attendees. Over 500 individuals and ministries have attended this program. We hope you'll join in soon. You can learn more about this program as well as register for the next Zoom event by visiting Let's Grow Together page at unityuwm.org/let's-grow-together. Now on to education. Unity Worldwide Ministries, or UWSI, programs are vast and robust. The minister, teacher, and certification programs available include spiritual education and enrichment, ministerial and religious studies, licensed Unity teacher certification, spiritual direction certification, integral ministry certification, Unity Spirit Group leader training, and certified spiritual educator youth ministry. You can get more information on all of these programs at unityuwm.org/UWSI. And if that wasn't enough, we have more. Continuing education programs. Unity Worldwide Ministries offers Unity theological resources for churches, ministers, licensed Unity teachers, Unity members, and anyone interested in learning more about Unity as a spiritual way of life. By providing webinars, summits, self-guided courses, and other educational resources, our goal is to establish a storehouse of enriching, experiential learning opportunities to reach everyone who's interested in deepening their understanding and experience of Unity. These resources are intended to support all aspects of the Unity experience, to include faith formation, spiritual education, professional development, and personal enrichment. Looking into the future, we're excited to announce our 2025 theme is Leadership Intelligence, Leading with Insight and Innovation. And in June, we're going to have our 2025 convention from June 16th to the 19th at the Sheridan Hotel and Conference Center in Overland Park, Kansas. Our featured speaker will be the amazing Jim Rosemurgey. The 2025 annual summit will be on site at Unity Village. Now, I'd like to remind each of you that there are always opportunities to volunteer for UWM. As many of you know, we work with a very small staff, so we rely on volunteers to keep our programs, events, and teams going strong. I'd like to quote Charles Fillmore when he said, "The value of all service lies in the spirit in which you serve and not in the importance or magnitude of the service. Even the lowliest task or deed is made holy, joyous, and prosperous when it is filled with love."
Diana Kennedy, I don't know.
We at the Home Office are grateful for each and every one of you and all you do in your ministries and in the movement.
Did you have
We
a good
send
lunch?
blessings and look forward to seeing all of you very soon. Thank you.
Okay, so a lot of things going on at UWM, and she has covered, Roxanne Graves has covered everything else that I wanted to say. So I'm going to open it up for questions, but before we do that, I want to just really love and appreciate Sarah Phillips right now. She put every single link. I don't know if you were like in my head wondering, because I was writing this stuff down and then all of a sudden it popped up. So you have all the links to the various web pages with the information that Roxanne gave you. And that way you don't have to look around on the web, on that new website, because it can be interesting to look around and try to find what you're looking for. Click on every single one of those links and save it, or copy and paste it into a Word doc or whatever. So when you're looking for information, you can find it. With that, I am complete for now, and we can open it up for questions. I can't see your hand raised because they have me, I'm pinned, so I can't see who's there. Can one of you guys help me out?
Yeah, so we have a question from Cheryl McCullough. Cheryl, can you unmute?
Yes. And yes, I think Sarah did great. Really happy to see that, because I was feverishly writing. But there is one missing. There was something that said membership, and I didn't get it all. It was membership / something.
Dash model.
/ model?
Dash model.
Dash model.
Dash
Thank
model.
you.
MODEL.
If someone can grab that off the website and put it in the chat, that would be super awesome. Then that way.
But thank you.
You're welcome.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
All right, great teamwork here, right? With all these links. So we have a question from Justin.
I was just wondering regarding the Unity identity, and I'm going to ask a question that may seem totally obvious to some people, maybe many people. And has it been discussed, what is the intention of answering this identity question? What are we trying to accomplish? Is that clear? As far as, are we trying to be able to vocalize to outsiders who we are? Are we trying to unify our churches under the understanding of who we are? Are we trying to weed out people who don't belong as part of the unity movement? I mean, what is the underlying intention? I mean, many of us are ministers in churches, and maybe we've been in churches for many years. Personally, I don't really need the question to get answered. But so that's why I'm wondering, what is the intention? And have we discussed, I imagine we have, what is the intention for answering the question? It's like writing a talk. If you write a talk and you don't know what your intention is in the talk, I'm going to talk about love. Well, you can go all over the place, right? Till you finally find out 5 hours later, oh, I guess this is what I want to say. So I find it helpful to get real clear. What is the intention for this discovery?
Thanks so much for that question, Justin. Well, I think the whole identity question started in 2023. I was trying to think back in my brain. It seems so long ago, but it really isn't. Gosh, yeah. So last fall, there was some discussion out there, and it kind of put us right in it, between UWM and UWH. And so it's really the best way for me to explain it from my view on the board is that we wanted the field to be able to decide. I mean, because UWM is accountable to the field, if you will, right? Like, we're member driven and ministry driven. And so we as a board, and I'm going to just say people who are on staff, I'm just going to say that, even though I'm not staff, we can't decide that. We cannot decide what our identity is. And so putting it out there for the conversations, those fireside chats, the summit, the convention, that then maybe we'll start coming up with that, what is our identity kind of thing. I don't think we're there yet. I think it's something that is evolving. I would guess that many or most of us have our own belief or conception of what we believe unity is as far as our identity. But to me, it's multifaceted and multi-layered. So how do we address that where everyone can feel seen and heard? And so we don't have it. We don't have an answer yet. That's basically
so the intention is so everyone can be seen and heard, or is it just to answer the Jesus question? And I mean, why is that important? I don't, that's what is the underlying intention? What are we trying to accomplish? Again, is it just to answer, or is unity Jesus? Is Jesus important? Are we Christian? I mean, is that, I'm just wondering, what is the intention of answering that question? I guess, has that been answered? I don't know.
Well,
I'm sure a few people wanted to know, but is that a huge question among a lot of people?
I think it's a question when there's an upset. And there was an upset around the conversations that happened last fall. And so, there are people on various sides of are we Christian, are we not? Are we spiritual, are we not? I mean, and so it needed to be discussed by all of us as members. So where is it something underlying? I don't know. And I would even say that we can open it up right here. It doesn't mean that we're going to get an answer per se. We may get opinions, like I give you my opinion, but underlying, the only thing I can say as a board member is that we wanted to have the field have a voice in this matter. That the board of trustees at UWM cannot decide who we are, like what is our identity, whether we are Christians or not Christians, or believe in Jesus or not, or any of that. We can't do that.
I think I just realized what, I think in my mind, it got triggered when people heard you're either Christian or you're not part of this organization. And so, I mean, that's what's coming to my mind now. And that would make sense why we would have to discuss it.
Right, you got it.
Yeah, okay.
I'm glad you figured it out.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, Justin, hopefully you're feeling satisfied. It is a large conversation, isn't it? So we have a hand up, and the name is iPhone, but I think that's Paula. Am I right?
Looks like
so.
Paula.
Can you unmute Paula? Are you able to do that?
Yes.
All right, good.
So thanks for letting me follow on that last discussion. So what I would say is that I really hope the board and actually Unity ministers as well really familiarize themselves with what we did, why we did branding, what it revealed, etc. So this may or may not be what you're thinking of going forward, Edith, but I think it was 2010, I was the lead for Unity World headquarters, and Lisa, I can't think of her last name, was the head for UWM. And the idea was it was supposed to fuel a marketing effort. Eventually, we wanted to do a national marketing campaign, and we wanted to know how to describe unity. What would be most effective at getting people in our doors? At the same time, we wanted to create that uniformity in look and messaging, et cetera, among the churches, but it was optional at that time for churches to opt in. But what we found out, we surveyed more than 2,000 people, both inside both organizations and outside, so people had never heard of Unity before. One of the specific questions we asked was, should we talk about Jesus more in Unity, or should we talk about Jesus less in Unity? And what came back, scoring 0 to 10, was 5. So we had just the same number of people and the same sort of emphatic response around talk about Jesus more, as people were saying don't talk about Jesus as much. The other factor that really, so we never doubted, we never said you can't say we're Christian. We never doubted that we are Christian based. None of that. We were trying to figure out what to lead with so that people could even hear us. And if we led with we're Christian, then you've got to do this whole backpedaling thing of, but not that kind of Christian. No, we're not like that. We don't believe this. And what we found was more effective is the tagline that we have now, a positive path for spiritual living. We tested the colors. We had votes on the logo. All the members were involved. None of this was forced on anybody. It was a very democratic, participatory process. The other thing I'll share with you, though, that helped influence what we do or don't lead with, we asked the questions, what comes to mind when you hear the word church? And what comes to mind when you hear the word Christianity? And we got reams of comments on those. And by and large, very negative. So I remember reading a stack, oh my gosh, it was like 8-point type, and it was about this thick of verbatim responses from people talking about the abuse they had witnessed or felt, or the shame or the lack of inclusion or acceptance, etc., in their church. Of course, on the positive side, they said they loved, community and sharing growth and all that kind of thing. And on the negative side, for Christianity, that was the biggest stack of comments that came back. And again, it was people who were disillusioned, who were calling out hypocrisy, who felt like this doesn't make sense. What we hear in church doesn't sound a lot like what Jesus taught, et cetera, et cetera. It was a resounding response that told us if we lead, not that you can't back it up, not you can't go to, you can go to the next level, but if you lead with Christianity, you're going to open wounds, bam, right off the bat. So I think maybe in the aftermath of that, and I know people have their different opinions of our branding, et cetera, certainly honor all of that. But in the aftermath, kind of to your question, Justin, what are we doing now? I think we're doing what we did in 2010, where people are saying, who are we? How do we fit into the continuum these days? And especially the question, and of course, times have changed, right? So there's no shame in doing it again or taking another look. But we did pay a consultant. We invested a tremendous amount of time. We were as fair as we could possibly be and participatory. So this wasn't just somebody's whim. But if you look at if it were to be redone in a new context, the context of today's times, and we look at what is happening under the banner of Christianity right now, we might want to question whether this is the best time for us to step forward in claiming that label. Maybe the perfect time. It may be even harder than ever to get people on the track we want them to be on. So I just want to share that perspective. Maybe you knew all that already, but I think it's just super important that we build on what we did in the past and not pretend that we didn't do it or was somehow flawed.
Thanks so much, Paula. Paula was on that team that came up with that tagline. We're a positive practice. No, not that one. Positive path for spiritual living. And people wrapped themselves around it. We even had a little booklet. If y'all remember that, it was a booklet that had like a diverse faces and whatnot, white background, and then people, and it had that tagline on it. And I was just thinking that was 14 years ago. I don't want to believe it, but it's true. And yet, when things like this come up, I think they come up because it's another time, right? Like it's another generation, perhaps, of what we maybe have to or are being called to address, to look at, to contemplate. Here's the thing, and I'm sure you know this. In Unity, we have this wide spectrum of people, right? We have the people who don't make me say God, Jesus, or any of that ever. And we have people who are on the opposite end who, they have crosses, they have, Jesus and all of that. And we've all been part of that. And then we have those of us in the middle. And I'm not saying us like me, I'm saying us, those in the middle. I'm not going to tell you where I'm at. But how do we embrace all of that, right? And I think that's where we have this kind of uneasiness, because we have people on various spectrums of it. And so because we do, and because, some people left because of their views, and some people came in because of their views. And so if we're, going to say we're a world that works for all, we used to have that as a tagline. If we're going to do that, then what does it look like? How do we do that? What is the forward facing, like Paula said? And I want to say, Paula, I'm so glad that you came on, because there may be people here that did not hear all of that backstory. I knew some of it, but I didn't know all of it until you mentioned it. And I would like to suggest for you to consider coming to some of the fireside chats so that you can say something, and maybe even have a conversation with Valerie, and maybe even with Roxanne, but definitely with Valerie, about here is the backstory to that. Or maybe you would record something, because recordings work real good, right? Where it can be implanted into the UWN communications. Here's the backstory about the whole identity thing that happened in 2010. And while we did this, the surveys and 2,000 people, that's pretty freaking awesome that we had that many people participate in something. All right.
Yeah. And just to close with this, thank you so much, Edith. I'd be delighted to provide the background wherever people need it. Of course, we have the files on it and stuff as well. But what I would say then, I've been seeing some of the discussion groups where people really have been getting into it. Are we Christian? Are we not Christian? And all I want to say is, at least from my experience, you try to get everybody agree on that. That's a fool's errand. It's unity is a broad swath, and it's evolving. And some people are more Fillmorian and some people are more spiral dynamics, whatever it is. Viva la différence, right? We all know what the root principles are that we agree on. So I think what we did with branding was, rather than say we're this but not this, we said, let's take this in layers. This is what branding will represent. Here's the next thing you can talk about. Here's the next thing if you want to go deeper. And then you've got the conversation going. So I'm complete. Thank you.
And I am certainly on the same page with you. And that's why I said this broad spectrum, right? How do we have a world that works for all, like this broadness? How do, is there something that could be said, some wordsmithing, perhaps, I don't know, that would have everyone feel like they are a part of unity wherever they sit in the space, and not that we have to have it either or. Yep.
All right. Really good discussion, folks. We've got about 10 more minutes here with Edith. We have a question from Vicki Bunch.
Hey, Edith. Well, we have used the words positive, practical, progressive Christianity for so many years. And it seems as if that's a plus for those who want to include the word Christianity, and also a minus for those who do not. So in looking at our words, could we formulate a way to present ourselves as being positive, practical, progressive, spirituality based on the precepts of Jesus, without using the word Christianity that seems to inflame some? It doesn't for me, because I differentiate in my mind what I believe Christianity is, but I'm not holding on to that word. So if we let it go in some way of speaking about ourselves as being positive, and how we're positive and practical, and how we're practical, and then our ways that we are progressive, spell it out for people to see on our website. And so many wonderful things have been done to the website. I think we can just be more inclusive and include those areas. And I'd be happy to work on the verbiage if anybody is interested.
I think that's a great idea. How can we meld it together so that we, are able to be more inclusive and, I love it. I think that would be a great idea for a team to get together,
All right. Thanks for the question and comments, Vicki. Next up, we have a question from Anne Francis.
All right, so Edith, my question to you is, I heard you say we're going to have an interim when we do. And we had an interim the last time. We had Patricia Bass. And then we ended up with, as we all know, Shad. My question is, how do we go from the interim to finding someone that can embrace the extreme differences from the Fillmorian? And I always like to think of it as almost that church essence of Kansas City, where you had the 7th Avenue, you had chapel, you had all these different assets of what unity is. How are we going to embrace all of them? Because there has been a time where I wondered if I personally even belonged in unity. I go towards a little more Fillmorian. Yes, I talk about God. Yes, I've had people within unity pretty harshly tell me, that you still believe in God, because I believe that there's that vessel and there's the variance, and we both belong in unity. And there's been a time where I didn't think I did anymore. I hear people, they do the mediumships, the the different avenues of that. I don't. Now, I don't judge that, but if that's where we are, then I don't belong here. So I want to know how we move forward to, are we going to embrace all of it? And then are we going to find a leader that's willing to embrace all of it? And how would we go about that? Oh, that's my 2 cents.
Thanks, Aiden. So I think you said a few things. I want to make sure I got it right. That you wanted to know about the whole interim piece, and then you want to know, well, how do we go from interim to the CEO, right? And then is that CEO going to be able to embrace all of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, for the interim, we're guessing as a board that it probably will be somewhere around February before we have an interim. We're taking our time. Of course, being all of it enveloped with prayer consciousness. That interim is going to be there for a while, probably at least a year. Because there's just so many different things we need to do. And then once the CEO comes along, my guess, because we're not there yet, we're not even talking about a CEO right now. Come on now. Right now, we talk about interim. We're not ready for the CEO piece yet. But my guess, my personal opinion, is that CEO needs to be able to be well-rounded, well-versed, able to communicate in a way that reaches a broad spectrum of people. And yeah, so that's my take on it.
Well, I know they say if you're all things to all people, you're nothing to no one. And I get that. And, you can have truth unity, and I go there and I find what I need, and you can go to a little more progressive, if maybe is the word, maybe not the right word, to, Paul Hasselbeck's feeling. And I personally can take what I need to make my lessons and to make my talks. Yet if we go one way or the other, there's people we're going to lose on the spectrum. And sometimes I think it might just be me. So I'm complete. I'm good.
Thank you, Anne. I just want to bring everyone's attention to the chat feed, which continues to be rich with information. And oh, look, there's that wonderful example from the Eastern region. But I understand that the function of the Eastern region is different than UWM. But all right, anyone else? We have about 5 minutes left with Edith before we shift our attention to UUMS. Anyone else? Justin has his hand up again. I just want to check and see if anyone else has, since you have talked a couple times, Justin. I just want to see. I don't see anybody else's hand, so you're good.
I can lower my hands. Okay.
You're good.
Well, I wonder if we could take Charles and Myrtle Fillmore's teachings and dissect them and go, Charles Fillmore, they used astrology names. They studied Eastern ideas. They were interested in Jesus and his teachings. I wonder if we could dissect their teachings like that and then go, oh, okay, well, there's a good starting point right there. Astrology, Eastern teachings, the Bible, and what else? Oh, just a thought just came to me in the moment. So.
Yeah, I think at some point we're probably going to, and I'm just talking off my own opinion, but I think at some point we're going to need a team, kind of similar to what Paul and them did in 2010, a team of maybe a representative or two from the board, and then representatives from the field. So it would be ministers, licensed teachers, and lay people. And I would, I think going along with the lines of 2010 is having some outside person be the one who's the facilitator, so that it's not being led by one of us who has, our various opinions and ways that we think it should be. Someone that's really neutral. And again, I'm just giving you my own opinion. Don't say UWM said, because I didn't say it, okay? I said from my opinion, because I think there is some richness in our diversity of opinions. And then once something was, I don't know, able to be put together in that same vein of 2010, then we bring it to the convention. So we have some conversations about it, some breakout groups about it, and then we collectively come up with something that represents all of us and not one aspect or the other.
Okay. The chat thread continues to be active, so I hope everyone's able to kind of keep one eye on that and split their attention with this ongoing conversation. We have about 4 minutes left with Edith, and we have a question from Stephanie.
It's not so much a question, is I'm going back to what I think was Justin's original question, which was, why do we need this? Our centers, our churches are so autonomous. I'm thinking back again, I'm going back with Paula 10 years ago to when I was peacemaking full time. I was at dozens and dozens of Unity churches and centers. None of them were the same. They had different beliefs. They all fell under the New Thought umbrella. And for the most part, they believed in and taught the 5 principles. Thank you, Ellen. I used your book a lot. But they were all so incredibly different. And there was a richness in the diversity. So, we embrace a positive path for spiritual living. Great. Why do we need to be more specific than that? I guess that's my question. So for instance, I love Jesus. I'm not crazy about Christianity right now. So in my center, we don't talk about Christianity, but I do teach what Jesus taught. And it has facilitated so much healing in my community over people who were wounded by Christianity. So do we call ourselves a Christian church? No, we don't. But we say that we love Jesus, right? So I guess what I'm piggybacking on Justin here is, do we need to come to some kind of consensus or agreement, or can we agree that our diversity is our strength? So that's just my 2 cents. And Justin, thank you so much for bringing up the question, because it's just led to such an excellent conversation.
Thank you too, Stephanie. And also in the chat, we had some people, if you read the chat, like Sandra Campbell and others who have chimed in on this. And like I said earlier, we came to this last fall, and there were some things that were said, and there were some very upset people. And when, in my opinion, as a board member, when we have folks who have some upset, then what do we do about it? Do we sweep it underneath like there's nothing there? Or do we try to open it up for a conversation? And I think that's it. Now, whether or not we actually come up with a statement or something, I don't know if that's what it is or not. I agree we have this very eclectic group of folks as Unity, right? I pretty much don't go to a Unity church as the same. We're all autonomous, and I say that all the time. But we have this upset that has been going on for about a year now. And so, and the board has been, some people are very upset at the board, like we brought it up, or that we are causing this, or we're saying that. And that's not it. That's not it. In the board, at least speaking of the UWM board, there are a lot of stuff that's happening on the board in this past year. We've had people who have had a parent ill and then died, or, major illnesses on our board. But yet people take this particular board and think that we're supposed to, like, as soon as something happens, well, where's the board? Why aren't they saying nothing? Look, stuff is happening, right? My mother just died a week ago, and I'm here with you, right? I've got all kinds of stuff happening, not only with church, but in my own personal life. And it's like that for the 12 of us on the board. And so inside of upset, you want to bring it out and have conversations, just like if it were in our church, right? If we had some upset in the church, we want to have people communicate with each other, because dialogue is how we help ourselves to heal, help ourselves to get clarity. And having this conversation right now is opening up the dialogue. So maybe somehow we get to some shared way of being, or the clarity at least in the upset. I don't really know. I just know communication works.
Yes, yes. All right. I think we got time for one more question. Lou has a question, and then we will move on to our next section here. Lou?
Mine is, hello, my lady. Mine is not really a question, just a statement. I think everything went down last year because it was personality driven. A lot of people didn't care for Shad. And now nobody brought up the personality stuff instead of Stephanie. She was really, I mean, if you read the chat, she hit it on the head. And then this all stuff boiled up again. Okay. But thank you, Justin, for bringing the conversation up. Thank you, Stephanie, for clarifying it. But I just wanted to bring out it was all Shad driven and personality driven against some ministers, mostly for the Midwest, not liking Shad. And here we are. I'm complete.
Thank you. Uh-oh.
All right.
Yes, exactly.
We really do need to allow UUMS to have their time. And all of a sudden, there's a whole bunch of hands up. So I guess I just want to, those of you who have your hands up, do you really have a question that we need to address right now? Because we do want to make sure that UUMS has their equal time to share, and we're at the end of the time for UWM. And I see all those hands have gone down. Of course, we could talk for days, couldn't we? And I'm really glad that we've had this opportunity to talk. And thank you, Edith, with everything that you have going on in your life, for being present with us, for being a part of us in the Eastern region. And if you would, please encourage UWM to continue to have those opportunities to have conversation with the field, because that's part of the healing, right? That is part of the healing that just needs to happen. So anything else you want to say before we move on, Edith?
No, just that if you have any questions or comments or anything like that, we do have that UWM web form. You can find, I didn't think to put it in the chat, but if you went to UWM and go under the board, it actually is a link to the web form. And what happens is the whole board gets it, and only the board. So the 12 of us all get it at the same time. So feel free to ask any questions or any of that to us. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody.
Perhaps one of our very resourceful link finders can find that and pop it into the chat thread. And we do have some more comments that are rolling into the chat. So as you have a moment, friends, you can look over there. And it is time for us to move on, because we are blessed with the presence of Reverend Sandra Campbell here with us this afternoon, because UWSI is not the only resource when it comes to Unity education. Isn't that correct? So we want to be able to hear all about what's going on with Unity's Urban Ministerial School from Sandra Campbell, who wanted me to mention that she is also on the UWH board. And at UUMS, her title is Executive Director, and she's here to tell us all the good things that are going on at UUMS. Take it away, Sandra.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. That was such a rich conversation that I hated for it to end. I know we had some comments that others had and wanted to make, so I hope they'll have the opportunity. I think, and thank you, Reverend Edith, for gracing us with the opportunity to be able to listen to each other's comments, and the feedback that you've gotten, I'm sure, will be helpful too. So I just continue to hold our entire Unity movement in the light. knowing that we're on the verge of even more progressive things to come. And, you know, out of chaos comes order all the time. So what might seem chaotic right now, something good is about to unfold, and I can just feel it. I have been a member of Unity since I was 21 years old, and I'm 73. So that's a long time. And my first introduction to Unity, it was like listening to a foreign language, coming from the Baptist faith to the Unity teachings. But it was just exactly what I needed at the time. I love the teachings. I live by these teachings, and I don't want to see us throw the baby out with the bathwater. So, you know, we're never going to get everybody to agree to the same things, but I think the basics of Unity teachings and the fact that the Fillmores incorporated teachings from all over the world really was an eye-opener for me, because as a Baptist, you get a very narrow, well, from my Baptist experience, let me just speak for me, you get a very narrow focus of the world in which you live in your teachings, your biblical teachings. So it enhanced, it didn't eliminate what I already knew and understood, but it enhanced what I learned and understood as a child. So I think that's what Unity does. So anybody can come into Unity's teachings and get something out of it. So with that, I'm going to share my PowerPoints and just have a few. So maybe there'll be time for you all to engage in more conversation. So let me just start off by saying that I also am the associate minister at Unity Temple on the Plaza, which is commonly known as the Founders Church, because it's the church that Charles Fillmore built from the ground. He didn't live to see it completed, but he did get it started, and it was part of his dream to have a temple honoring Myrtle. And so the Unity Temple is a temple honoring our founders, and particularly Myrtle. I have a short video I'll show. I graduated in 2012 from Unity Urban Ministerial School. I was the first student to enroll in the online program when it started in 2008, the first online program in Unity. And then two others joined me. Reverend Karen Saunders is our registrar. She's also a legacy. Her mother was Reverend Helen Saunders, who founded Christ Love Unity after getting ordained from Unity School. And Helen Saunders was, like Karen, was from Detroit. So she was, you know, of course, part of the beginning of the urban school, which is in our 45th year now, started in 1979. After my graduation, I did my 9 months internship, and I was ordained in 2013 by Unity Worldwide Ministries. After my ordination, I continued with my church, Unity Temple on the Plaza, where I've been a member since 1980, having served 3 terms on the board, taught Sunday school for 20 years, 15 years in the choir, and co-founded Unity Temple's Toastmasters Club. So I became the executive director of Unity Urban Ministerial School in 2017, after Dr. Catherine Thomas stepped down as the leader of the school. So I'll now stop sharing so that you can, Matt can show the video. Oh, am I sharing? Maybe I wasn't sharing.
No, I got it. Yeah, I got it for you.
Okay, hold on. I need to get out of this so you can show it. It's not letting me out for some reason. Okay. All right.
I love traditional education. And besides, I can't afford to move my family all the way across the country.
I received the call, but supporting a large family and working overnight, how do I get this done?
When I became a licensed Unity teacher, I never thought I would want to become a minister. My calling came as a gentle nudge from Spirit. Now, where do I go from here?
You can do this. The Unity Urban Ministerial School offers high-quality spiritual education as close as your computer screen. It is flexible. Do it on your own schedule, morning, noon, or night. Our computerized learning platform is easy to use and fully online. Your lectures and assignments are at your fingertips. Questions? Let our caring faculty and staff assist you. Our budget-friendly program with available scholarships lets you learn and grow right where you are. No relocating. You'll visit our Detroit and Unity Village campuses once a year for licensing and ordination meetings. Unity Urban Ministerial School is second to none. Our curriculum is focused on real-world ministry through the lens of practical Christianity. We offer courses on community planning, teaching methods, and spiritual counseling, as well as instruction in Bible research, metaphysical application, and interpretation. Combined with courses in church management and creating New Thought messages, Unity Urban Ministerial School provides everything you need for a dynamic 21st century ministry.
This is your calling.
Hey, what are you waiting for?
It is easy to apply.
Let UUMS assist you in taking that next step on your spiritual journey.
Thank you. Thank you, Matt. The urban school is based on, the mission of the urban school is based by Reverend Dr. Ruth Mosley on Isaiah 61:1. And that scripture says, "The Spirit of God is upon me, for God has anointed me to bring good news to the poor, to comfort the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom to the captives, and the opening of the prison to those who are bound." Everything we do in Unity Urban Ministerial School meets with those criteria that are described in Isaiah 61:1. We try to follow in the footsteps of our founder and maintain the same legacy that she left for us. So I'm going to go back briefly to my slides. Okay, and hope you can see that first slide, which tells you about our 45th anniversary. I'm proud of that slide. So does everybody see the slides?
Yep.
We can see them now. Yep.
Great. Okay. And there's our mission statement. And this is where we're located in terms of, we're satellite. So we are asynchronous. That means a student can be in South Africa and Nigeria on a totally different time zone on the other side of the planet, and they can still attend our classes because we're asynchronous. So all of these, Reverend Richard Pacheco, who is probably on here somewhere today, he is our webmaster. Many of our students, our former student, our alumni, ask when they finish school, can they do something for the urban school? And without exception, they come back to serve either in a teaching capacity on the board. They serve as staff, and volunteers. These thumbtacks that you see in red and blue are where we have students, alumni located all over the world. So that kind of gives you an idea of just how broad we are. In 2008, being the first education program in Unity to go online, we attracted a lot of people who wanted to be part of Unity's teachings, but had no way to come to Unity Village to study. Now, I started in the CEP program, the Continuing Education Program, in 1994. And I came to Unity Village 1 week of my vacation time every year. Now, imagine how old I was going to be by the time if some of my credits hadn't expired, by the time I was eligible to graduate. I would have started over about 10 times. And so when the urban school started the online program, it was an answer to a prayer for me. I was able to finish my career of 42 years with the federal government as a manager in March of 2012, graduated in May of 2012. So being the first student to enroll in this program, it was sort of like being, it was a program that was being developed as myself, Reverend Karen Saunders, and Reverend Brenda Harger, as we went along. So we really were the guinea pigs for this program. We've had students in Canada, the Caribbean, Hungary, and of course, throughout the United States. We also have a newsletter that we started putting out once a month because the Unity Worldwide Ministries newsletter has a limited number of characters. And so we couldn't really tell the urban school story in that character. So one of our former students volunteered to be our roving reporter and help us get started getting a footprint in the UWM newsletter. And you probably saw recently where we put out a plea for people interested in becoming members of our faculty. And we had several people who saw that article in last week's partnership newsletter through UWM and joined us for that meeting. So the newsletter comes out once a month, and we like to spotlight everything that we can tell our readers is going on in Unity. So there'll be something in there about Unity Worldwide Ministries, something about Unity World Headquarters. It's not just about Unity Urban Ministerial School. It's to keep the communications of the whole Unity movement. Anyone interested in becoming a Unity minister or a licensed Unity teacher can take their SEE classes through Unity Urban Ministerial School. They can take their ministry classes through Urban Ministerial School because we have to meet the same criteria that Unity Worldwide Ministries has for both paths. So our students who take the SEE classes, we tell them you can take those anywhere. For example, Reverend Edith's church offers the SE Intensive Week at Unity of Gaithersburg. So we make sure we publicize that when Reverend Edith gives us that information, we get in the newsletter, we get the word out to our students that, hey, you can get those classes at Unity of Gaithersburg or Unity of Dallas or Unity of Houston or at their own individual church. So wherever they get them, as long as we can keep up with their transcript, it doesn't matter. As soon as they get those 18, they're eligible to apply to UWM for the ordination path. And then they can choose, once they're accepted on the ordination path, they can choose which school they want to attend to complete their ministry training. What I tell people when they contact me, which is quite often, they ask this question: how do I know which school to choose? How do I know which path to choose? I have one standard answer. If your goal is to become a licensed Unity teacher or an ordained Unity minister, and you're willing to do the work, either path will get you there. There is enough to go around. Some people can't study independently. They need that face-to-face interaction on a regular basis in a classroom setting. Some people can work very well independently, and in fact, their schedules don't permit them to be in a classroom, a typical classroom setting. So there are different strokes for different folks. As I said, we offer the first year our SEE classes in our ministerial preparation program. Those classes are 5 weeks. Our terms are 10 weeks. So in a 10-week term, you can get 9 SEE classes if you're really ambitious and have nothing else to do in your whole life. I always recommend to students, don't bite off more than you can chew. There is no rush. It's up to you to set your own goals and your own pace. We don't have a minimum number of classes you can take. So some students start off taking 1 just to get their toe in the water. Some students start off taking 4 that are offered during one of those 5-week sessions and 5 in the next 5-week sessions. But it's up to the student how fast they want to complete the program. The ministerial studies program, those are the advanced classes. Once you're on the ordination path, those are the 2nd and 3rd year classes. Now, as you know, during the education redesign with UWM, we're now going from a 2-year ministerial studies program, or 3-year rather, to a 2-year. So rather than students taking 3 years to get ordained, once they have completed the SEE classes, they have been accepted on the ordination path, it can only take 2 years if they wish. They may want to stretch it out, but they could finish and get ordained in 2 years. That also means they have to meet all of the UWM requirements. So what I usually do, if a student, for example, we have a new student from Eastern Region, Linda Joplin, just signed on this week, and she's one of our new students. I saw that she's on here. And so what I said to Linda was, she's already applying for the ordination path through UWM. Before she gets on the ordination path, to keep her from being upside down so that she doesn't get all of her education requirements completed and she's still not ordained, we limit the number of classes a student can take who's in that position to 1 or 2 per term until they get on the ordination path, and they can speed up the path, speed up their time. The reason we do that is often you'll know when you come to the convention, if you're not aware of this, you'll see some students getting licensed and not getting ordained. That's because they have completed the education requirements, but they still have some requirements to make for the licensing and ordination. So those are 2nd and 3rd year classes, and all those are spelled out on our website, including the weight of the classes, the textbooks that are typically needed for those classes. They do change occasionally. On our website now at uums.org, under academics and calendar, you'll find the classes listed for the next 2 terms. We're right now toward the end of the fall term, which ends October 22nd. And November 6th, the winter term begins. You'll see all the classes being offered, SEE and the ministerial studies program classes for the winter term. And then you'll see all the classes being offered for the spring term. Now, I mentioned the classes are asynchronous, but let me tell you, there are 3 classes in our ministerial studies program that are face-to-face. One of those is homiletics for obvious reasons. Our instructor needs to be able to see and evaluate the student's ability to bring out a lesson, to deliver. They need to see how their composure, how they stand, and give them feedback so they're prepared for the ministry if they choose pulpit ministry or choose speaking. We do offer a couple of scholarships. The Reverend Dr. Ruth Mosley Scholarship is for students in the SEE classes. And the Charles and Myrtle Fillmore Scholarship are for those who are in the advanced classes, the ministerial classes. The scholarships are offered once a year through the generous donations of churches and regions such as yours and Unity World Headquarters. The video you saw in the beginning was done by students in the class of 2019, one of them being Reverend Richard Pacheco. And what happened was I started a project for students in their internship so they can get practical experience doing something unique. They actually create a project as their cohort group, and then that project becomes a legacy for them that they leave for the school. So in 2019, the class said, we don't have anything to promote the school. So they created that video that you saw. They also updated the handbook and added an instructor's handbook. This group that you see are students in Nigeria. The woman in the middle is Reverend Tandy from Unity Center of Love and Light in Johannesburg. And they're holding up books because the class of 2022 decided that they wanted to help their fellow students who were from Africa, who by the time they got their books, it was too late. And sometimes they never got them at all. And so they started a book drive and raised over $3,000 and shipped books to South Africa. And Reverend Tandy turned that into a library, not just for the 6 students that we have currently in her church, but for the whole outlying community. So people can come to Reverend Tandy's church and check out books on New Thought. And it's just amazing. It was quite an extensive project, so I'm not sure we can duplicate that one. This year's class that just graduated and got ordained, they were members of the Unity Ministerial Students Association. And they decided that they wanted to start a scholarship that was not tuition related. All the scholarships are tuition driven. So they wanted a scholarship that would help with other expenses. For example, the students coming for the immersion program through UWSI's new program have to come for the summit, and they come back for the convention, not just the convention where they're graduating, as has been in the past. So they may need some help with their expenses. There may be some textbooks that are expensive for some of the classes. They can apply through the UMSA and our UUMS Alumni Association, which we started a few years ago, manage the funds for them. And then once they submit whoever they want to receive the scholarship, I think they've already given out a couple, then the money is drafted through Unity Urban Ministerial School Alumni Association. We have partnerships with our Alumni Association, which is a 501c3. And that was one of my projects when I graduated. And now it's building and building. It's a way to keep the urban school community together. When I was a student, I saw a list of names of over 100 people who graduated and were ordained. I didn't know where some of these people were, if they still were living. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if we knew where the urban school alumni are and what they're doing and how we can create community? So then we partner with the Unity Ministers Alliance, which used to be called the Independent Alliance of Ministers in Unity, and they provide a mentor for our students for the first year after ordination. Unity of Sacramento has partnered with us in creating a satellite school with the urban school. Unity on the Space Coast, where Reverend Roxanne Graves, who was our bursar and an alum of the urban school also, where she was, they had Unity of the Titusville satellite to the urban school. The Johnny Coleman Theological Seminary is one of our partners. Hillside International Center of Truth, Emerson Institute. I want to mention specifically those 3 because we are now accredited through the Accrediting Commission International, which accredited the Johnny Coleman Theological Seminary, Hillside International Center of Truth, and Emerson Institute. There are over 300 institutions accredited by that organization. All of them except us 4 are evangelical. So we are bringing new thought to a whole new arena. Unity World Headquarters and Unity Worldwide Ministries also partner with us, and the UWM regions and centers, as your region does. And I can't thank you enough for your generosity in supporting the urban school. Without generous donations from you and the churches that support us and the students and alumni, we would not be in existence. As I mentioned before, we are accredited by Accrediting Commission International, When I first put up this slide, they had more than 200 members. And last year when I attended the convention, we were told that there are now more than 300 members of their institution. Now, this is not a U.S. Department of Education credentialing organization. So students coming into the urban school can't get a federal grant or a Pell Grant or anything like that because it's an NGO, it's not a government organization. However, what this does for us is gives us leverage with other institutions. So for example, if our students decide they want to get a higher degree or go higher than graduating and getting a diploma from the urban school, they can go to one of these ACI accredited institutions and study, or we may have some cross training with instructors and all kinds of things. So we're starting with the Universal Center of Truth, Hillside in Atlanta, Emerson in Atlanta and California, and Johnny Coleman Theological Seminary in Florida, partnering with them. We also started this past year, UUMS Anointed Radio, which Reverend Richard Pacheco is our host, and it was his idea. So this is what happened. We got a call from Reverend Graham Johnson in Australia. He asked if, through Mark Hicks referred him to us, he wanted to know if we could take over his emails. And he said he had 13,000 emails that he communicated, or 1,300, but some big number, that he communicated with people in the Outback and other countries on a regular basis with some kind of Bible class. Well, we don't have the bandwidth, the staff, or the resources to have that kind of connection. So after much back and forth with him and several of our staff, Richard came up with the great idea that since we no longer have the Unity Online Radio, and many of us were disappointed when that went away, and I'm on the board, so I can explain that it went away because it really wasn't it was more expensive than bringing any resources to continue to monitor and maintain. I know something new is brewing in UWH for something similar, and that will be a discussion for another time. But for now, the Anointed Radio is free and it's for anyone. We're hoping that we can get a grant in the future as we show more progress. But if you have a talk or a presentation of any kind, put it on an MP3 or an MP4 player or recording. You can record it on Zoom and just send it to Reverend Richard Pacheco at richardapacheco@gmail.com. And Richard will load that into our UUMS Anointed Radio. I encourage you to go to our website, uums.org/radio or UUMS-radio, and listen to some of these broadcasts. I think you will enjoy them. And we hope to hear your voice on there in the near future. So I want to again thank you all for your support. I know there are many churches and your region that give us your generous support on a regular basis, and I can't say thank you enough on behalf of the Urban School. And then to give homage to how we got here, it was Reverend Dr. Ruth Mosley's dream that there would be a school where unity could be brought to more of the urban communities around the country, and starting in Detroit. And it's important because Jesus was the original urban minister. He didn't build a synagogue or invite people to come and see him. He went to places where the people were, where nobody else wanted to go. And I think that's what is really, really unique and special about the Urban School. We welcome everyone, and we try to bring those teachings to life that those on whose shoulders we stand brought to us. So with that, check out our website at uums.org. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I see some things in the chat, so I'm going to stop sharing.
Thank you, Sandra, for that wonderfully complete update from UUMS. We are really close to our 4 p.m. end time. And I do want to make sure that that folks have a way to contact you with questions. And I do see that Sarah is continuing to be helpful as our chat thread wizard today. She is hooking us up. So thank you so much for all of that information. I'm not going to ask for questions because we really are close to our end time, and I just want to thank you for being here. I'm going to mention one thing that I'm not sure if you mentioned this or not, but I know in a recent meeting I was in with you, you talked about how people who are already credentialed leaders can, who just want to sharpen up on things or want to do a deep dive in an area that they didn't have time before, can take classes at UUMS at a discounted rate. Is that correct?
That's correct. They can audit the classes for $50, and all they have to do is go to uums.org, look at academics and academic calendar, look at classes that they might be interested in, and then they can, Reverend Karen Saunders would register them in the classes. Also, I didn't mention prison ministry. The last line of our mission statement talks about opening the doors of the prison. So this year, we started a prison ministry certification program. There are 3 classes. The first class will be ending October 22nd. The second one will start in the winter term, and the third one and final one in the spring term. And after that, the student would be certified. This is an elective, like we have advanced metaphysics also. That's an elective. We have students that are taking those advanced classes as well. The students would be eligible. They would have resources and tools to go work with their local institutions, because each local area and state and federal legislation is different on prison systems. But we provide tools and resources, and it's up to the students to go out and find ways to bring the truth teachings into those places. So the classes are for those that are incarcerated. That's the first class. The second class is for those who are returning citizens, those who have been incarcerated and have been released. And the third class is the tools and resources to work with family members affected by the prison system. That's it. I know I talked really fast. I know I didn't have a lot of time.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sandra. And before we close out, will you put your email address in the chat thread for everyone, for those who would like to reach out to you? And since we are at a little bit past the 4 o'clock mark, I just want to say thank you to Sandra again, and thanks so much for being here. And thanks everyone for your presence and your participation here with the Eastern Region's Fall Conference. One of the things I say to my people in my ministry is showing up is a spiritual practice. So I thank all of you for showing up and being a wonderful part of this community, this wider community we know as the Unity Movement, and our corner of it that we know as the mighty, mighty Eastern Region. Thanks so much for being here. Does anyone else have, April, do we have anything else we need to do before we finish up?
Oh, I think we, in our business meeting today, we covered what's going to be coming out to you guys. So just watch for resources and feedback forms and updates.
All right. So here's how I feel about you guys. Look.
Thank you, Cheryl. Great job.
Thanks so much for a wonderful conference. I can't wait for the next moment when we get to be together in some way, all of us here in this Unity family. Be well, my friends.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See past the starlight to know what I found. Can I believe that fairy tales really come true?